In the ominous darkness of Ghost Village, where the wind howled like the mournful cries of lost souls, Lai Tu-min, a young police officer, carried the profound grief of loss within his heart. 3 years prior, his sister, Lai Chi-nu, had vanished without a trace in this eerie place. Now, an old Taoist priest, claiming to be able to help him find his sister, led him to the terrifying truth. Chapter 1. The Curse from the Photo. A dry clink echoed as Lai Tu-min's wallet fell to the ground. The old Taoist priest, eyes wide and face pale with shock, pointed at the photo in the wallet, his voice trembling. "The woman in that photo is not human, she's a vengeful ghost." Lai Tu-min tried to suppress his anger, turning to leave, but the Taoist priest quickly followed, his tone full of mystery. "Was she born at the Thai hour on the 15th day of the 7th month? Has she been missing for 3 years? She was transformed into a vengeful ghost long ago. If her loved ones don't perform salvation rites, she will forever remain an evil spirit, unable to reincarnate. Those close to her like you will also be affected, their fates troubled, their paths in life arduous." Lai Tu-min's heart clenched. The Taoist priest's words were like a knife twisting in his old wound. He hesitated for a long time, but ultimately decided to follow the old Taoist. "Anyway, if she's already dead, she can't die again," he told himself. He handed his sister's birth details to the priest. "Master, can you tell me where she is now?" The old Taoist squinted at him, then looked down at the birth details on the paper. He murmured calculations, counting on his fingers. "This person is the girl in your wallet's photo, right? She is now in Ghost Village in Lin District, but she has become a soul-bound vengeful ghost. Her soul has been trapped for 3 years. If she isn't freed soon, she will forever fall into the path of evil spirits, unable to transcend. The wronged souls she has suppressed cannot seek revenge or find those who harmed them, so they can only seek out those close to her." Upon hearing this, Lai Tu-min's heart, which had been hanging by a thread for 3 years, suddenly felt as if it plummeted into an abyss. Tears streamed down his face uncontrollably. He gripped the gun in his pocket, wishing he could immediately rush to Ghost Village and kill every scoundrel who had caused his sister's death. "Young brother, your sister's hands are now stained with innocent blood. If you don't perform the salvation rites for her soul before dawn tomorrow, not only will she face great calamity, but your entire family will too. If you trust me, I can go with you to Ghost Village to help your sister escape her fate as an evil spirit." Lai Tu-min's eyes widened. Without another thought, he immediately nodded. Chapter 2. The Gates of Ghost Village. That afternoon they arrived at Ghost Village at dusk. But the scene before Lai Tu-min filled him with unease. The entire village was deserted, not a soul in sight. Ghost Village was located in a remote area of Lin District and had become a Chinese-style horror tourism destination since the beginning of the year, quickly spreading online. Normally, even with rumors, it couldn't be this desolate. Lai Tu-min called the innkeeper, asking him to send someone to pick them up, but the man, despite Lai Tu-min's complaints and threats, adamantly refused to go out at this hour. "It's almost dark. I'd rather not earn this money than bet my life on you." With that, he hung up immediately. It was then they realized that an entire large village had no residents visible. It wasn't completely dark yet, but every house had its lights on. Red lanterns hung in front of doors swayed in the wind, casting a chilling red glow. Talismans pasted on doors fluttered as if about to fly away. The old Taoist casually picked up a talisman, examining it with a changed expression. "Sanskrit mantra talisman. Indeed, this village is not simple." Seeing Lai Tu-min's confusion, he explained, "It turns out there's a sect in this country from Southeast Asia called the Sanskrit Sutra sect. They are very expensive, certainly not something a poor village like this could afford to invite." While the old Taoist continued to explain, a small female streamer suddenly ran up. She held her phone, live streaming, excitedly introducing Ghost Village. But immediately after ending her broadcast, she clung to Lai Tu-min's arm, her voice sweetly pleading, "Big brother, I'm so scared." Lai Tu-min was annoyed and wanted to push her away. But at that moment, he accidentally noticed a small red mole on her delicate nose, exactly like his sister's. In that instant, his heart softened. Seeing that Lai Tu-min was no longer showing annoyance, she happily started a conversation. What was even more surprising was that she also studied at Ha University and had just graduated this year, just like his sister. Lai Tu-min looked into her round eyes, reminded of his sister. "It's dangerous here. Come with us. I really don't feel comfortable leaving you alone." The old Taoist glanced at Lai Tu-min, then pulled him aside and whispered, "The red string of beads on her hand, it has Sanskrit mantras carved on it. I'm afraid it's related to this village. We'd best stay away from her." Lai Tu-min hesitated for a few seconds, but when he looked into those big round eyes again, he still couldn't bring himself to refuse. Chapter 3. A Night of Schemes. They circled the village once, finally finding the inn they had booked. But the innkeeper's behavior was strange. He stood in the lobby to greet them, processed their check-in, then casually pointed to their room before immediately retreating to his own, as if a man-eating monster was outside. The old Taoist looked around, his gaze darkening. On the doors and windows of each room are painted Sanskrit mantras, identical to the symbols on that girl's string of beads. This village has a problem, and she's not simple either. Don't let beauty blind you. The old Taoist said this calmly as soon as they entered the room. Lai Tu-min took out a pen and paper to copy the Sanskrit characters on the window, intending to look up their meaning on his phone, but his phone had completely lost signal. The old Taoist paid no attention to him, simply handing him a cup and commanding in a low voice, "We will act tonight. First, drip some of your blood into this cup." Lai Tu-min looked at him surprised. "What do you need my blood for?" "Of course, it's to awaken the remaining human nature in your sister. I will anoint the spiritual artifact with your blood, and at the Thai hour, I can summon your sister's spirit." Hearing this, Lai Tu-min found it quite reasonable and prepared to prick his finger. But just then, the landline phone in the room rang piercingly. Lai Tu-min answered. On the other end was the familiar voice of the streamer Tutu. "Officer Lai, don't trust the old Taoist beside you. He's a traitor of the Mountain Sea sect. Years ago he used dark magic to control spirits and was expelled from the sect. If he asks you to offer blood, absolutely do not do it. Otherwise, both you and your family will have your souls manipulated by him." Lai Tu-min felt a chill run down his spine, goosebumps covering his arms. Just then, a cold hand suddenly clapped his shoulder. He jumped, his heart nearly leaping out of his chest. "What's wrong?" He spun around, meeting the old Taoist's scrutinizing gaze. Lai Tu-min tried to remain calm, put the phone down, and casually made up an excuse. "Oh, the innkeeper was asking if there were enough amenities in the room." The old Taoist stared at him intently, his eyes darkening, but he said nothing more, only urging him to quickly draw blood. Lai Tu-min nodded perfunctorily, but when he looked into the old Taoist's eyes again, he suddenly noticed a faint trace of evil that he hadn't perceived before. As night fell, eerie howls of wind echoed outside the inn, accompanied by the wailing of infants and the sobbing of women. In such a setting, these sounds became doubly terrifying. Just then, a soft knock came from the door. Lai Tu-min looked at the old Taoist, who also stared intently at the door, unconsciously tightening his grip on the green bronze sword. "Officer Lai, it's me. I'm so scared. Can I stay the night?" Twisted. Lai Tu-min remembered her previous warning. Despite the old Taoist's objections, he opened the door for her. After all, both of them were hiding something. If that was the case, letting them confront each other would make it easier for him to observe. The old Taoist frowned deeply, whispering a warning. "Have you forgotten our purpose tonight?" Before Lai Tu-min could reply, Tutu quickly interjected. "Officer Lai, Master, what are you two planning to do?" "I can help. My family belongs to the Sanskrit Sutra sect, and I've learned a bit of basic magic. This place is too scary, I don't dare stay alone." She wrapped her arms around herself, looking utterly pathetic. Lai Tu-min sighed softly, stepping in front of her to shield her, then nodded in agreement. The old Taoist glared at Lai Tu-min, his eyes full of exasperation, finally letting out a cold snort. Fine. If the female ghost is too powerful, she might be able to lend a hand. With that, he turned away, continuing to apply Lai Tu-min's blood to the green bronze sword. Tuta stared intently at the bowl of fresh red blood, a deep worry flickering in her eyes. Chapter 4. The Ancient Formation. At the Thai hour, the wailing outside grew increasingly violent, seeming to draw closer. The old Taoist led Lai Tu-min and Tutu in the direction indicated by the Chen Kuan compass. They kept walking until they reached an old, dilapidated ancestral hall. The old Taoist stopped, frowning. It must be here. Lai Tu-min looked around. Weeds grew waist-high, but strangely, there was no wailing sound here. He was puzzled. Master, we clearly heard crying very close by just now. Why is there nothing here? The old Taoist glared at him once, then didn't bother to reply, merely bending down to part the weeds. Tutu, who had been standing beside Lai Tu-min, this time patiently explained. The crying earlier was just condensed resentment, unrelated to wronged souls. But the old Taoist's Chen Kuan compass is spinning wildly here, which indicates there is definitely a ghost in this place. Her calm way of speaking was terrifyingly different from the weak demeanor she had when she ran into Lai Tu-min's room earlier. Indeed, as the old Taoist had said, she was not simple. Lai Tu-min tried to remain calm, following her closely into the ancestral hall. Inside, broken bricks and tiles were scattered everywhere, and torn red silk ribbons lay on the ground. It seemed no one had entered this place for a very long time. The old Taoist, holding a green bronze sword in one hand and the Chen Kuan compass in the other, walked ahead, clearing the way. He stopped in front of the ancestral altar, carefully observing the ground. Lai Tu-min hurried forward and looked down. The ground was covered in vermilion drawings. The old Taoist raised an eyebrow and whispered, "This is an ancient formation. Look, do the Sanskrit symbols around it resemble the ones on the inn's windows?" Lai Tu-min followed the old Taoist's direction and indeed found that these symbols matched what he had copied earlier. He nodded. The old Taoist stroked his beard, a satisfied look on his face. "Indeed, what this girl said about the Sanskrit Sutra sect is related to your sister's matter." Then he explained in a low voice that the Sanskrit Sutra sect in this country was notorious for being a dark cult, specializing in unethical deeds. "Don't trust them," he cautioned Lai Tu-min, then extended his hand. "Give me your sister's belonging." Earlier, when Lai Tu-min returned to his hometown to sort through his sister's belongings for a memorial service, the old Taoist had instructed him to bring an item his sister often used so that he could summon her spirit later. Lai Tu-min fumbled in his pocket, pulled out a piece of jewelry his sister had loved, and handed it to the old Taoist. The old Taoist bent down, intending to place the item in the center of the formation, but at that very moment, Tuta suddenly lunged forward, blocking his path. "How can an item used in a formation be touched so casually? What are you trying to do? I don't want to die with you." Her small face was filled with anger as she stood directly in the center of the formation, refusing to move. The old Taoist trembled with rage, glaring at her menacingly but unable to do anything. He turned to Lai Tu-min and yelled, "Lai Tu-min, do you still want to save your sister? This is the soul-trapping formation for her. Only by placing her item in the center can she appear. Quickly push this brat away. Our ritual must be performed immediately." Hearing the old Taoist's words, Lai Tu-min intended to act, but at that moment, Tutu let out a piercing scream that made him jump. "Officer Lai, don't listen to him. He's using dark magic. If you let him summon your sister's spirit this way, adding your blood, both her soul and yours will be manipulated by him." The two argued fiercely, and Lai Tu-min stood caught between conflicting opinions, unsure who to believe. Suddenly, creak! The door of the ancestral hall slowly opened. A bone-chilling gust of wind, like a sharp blade, swept over Lai Tu-min. The old Taoist and Tutu immediately stopped arguing, both simultaneously drawing their spiritual artifacts, staring intently at the door. Lai Tu-min stood behind them, his fingers tightening on the grip of the gun in his pocket. A voice came from the main entrance. "What are you doing at this ancestral hall in the middle of the night?" It sounded exactly like the voice Lai Tu-min had heard on the news. He slowly looked up at the person standing outside the main door. It was village head Wang, the very man who had driven his sister in a black car and brought her here 3 years ago. Lai Tu-min gripped his gun, wishing he could pull the trigger at that very moment and end his life right there. 3 years ago, his sister, Lai Chi-nu, his only relative, had volunteered to teach in a remote village in Lin District during the summer holidays. But as soon as she left Lin District's train station and got into village head Wang's black car, she vanished without a trace. The police had investigated for years, searching every remote village but found no clues. They even secretly tracked this driver, Wang, but discovered nothing. Yet now, the old Taoist told him that his sister had been harmed by these scoundrels, becoming a vengeful ghost holding on to resentment. Lai Tu-min truly wanted to kill him immediately. But first he had to find his sister. He suppressed his anger, putting the gun back in his pocket. "Village head Wang, these are 2 friends of mine. They couldn't sleep and wanted to find some excitement. This ancestral hall truly has that Chinese horror feel. But why isn't it open to tourists?" Tutu quickly interjected, helping them out. She was a streamer hired by village head Wang to promote Ghost Village, so he treated her much more cordially. Hearing her words, his grim expression immediately softened a little. "This place is too old and dilapidated, not yet renovated. You should all go back. The village hasn't been peaceful lately. Some nearby villagers have been causing trouble at night." He took a few steps inside, saw them standing in the center of the formation, and his face darkened again. Tutu quickly interrupted, nodding repeatedly and saying they should leave immediately. Lai Tu-min saw her subtly wink, so he temporarily suppressed his anger and followed her. But just as they were about to step over the threshold, a cold gust of wind swept through. Bang! The wooden door of the ancestral hall suddenly slammed shut. Immediately after, a strange, hoarse, choking sound came from inside. Lai Tu-min turned his head. A female ghost, covered in blood, stood in the center of the main hall. The old Taoist stood directly on the center of the formation, and beneath his feet was Lai Tu-min's sister's jewelry. "Does that mean this bloody ghost is my sister? Is that Chi-nu?" Chapter 5. Painful Memories. Lai Tu-min tried to suppress his fear, carefully observing the female ghost in front of him. As soon as it heard his voice, its body stiffened slightly, and its cloudy eyes began to show signs of regaining some consciousness. "Talk to her more. Help her remember you," the old Taoist shouted. Lai Tu-min quickly complied, beginning to recount childhood memories. As he spoke, tears flowed uncontrollably. His sister suddenly twitched her throat, emitting an incomprehensible gurgling sound. Lai Tu-min was stunned. It was only then that he realized her mouth was completely empty. Her tongue had been cut off by them. "How dare they do this? How dare they? Chi-nu, your brother failed you. I couldn't protect you." Lai Tu-min collapsed, kneeling on the ground, sobbing in agony. The vengeful ghost slowly advanced towards Lai Tu-min, but just as it reached out to touch him, its eyes, which had just regained clarity, suddenly darkened, filled with murderous intent. "Be careful. She's losing control again," the old Taoist roared, swinging his green bronze sword directly at the vengeful ghost. The sword energy burst forth, forcing it back a few steps. Lai Tu-min immediately rolled to the side, hiding behind the old Taoist. The old Taoist pointed at village head Wang, gritting his teeth and saying, "That bastard just cut his hand and smeared blood on the stone tablet. That's definitely why your sister lost her sanity." He tightened his grip on the bronze sword and continued, "You keep talking to her, help her remember herself. I will break his formation." With that, he immediately lunged towards village head Wang. At the same time, thump! The vengeful ghost lunged, clutching Lai Tu-min's throat. She gurgled desperately, as if trying to say something. Lai Tu-min used all his strength to try and pry her hands off, looking directly into her eyes, hoarsely calling, "Chi Nu, it's me. I'm a police officer now. Look." He stopped resisting, pulling out a rose gold necklace from his pocket. This was a birthday gift his sister had always longed for. But that year, after their parents passed away, they could only live on welfare and odd jobs. Money was tight, and she only dared to stand outside stores looking at it, never asking for it. It wasn't until Lai Tu-min got his first full salary that he bought it for her. When she received the gift, she screamed with joy like a child, but she had never worn it since. Lai Tu-min had once asked why, and she only smiled and said she wanted to save it to wear when she got married. But now, his sister would never have the chance to meet the person she loved, nor could she ever wear a wedding dress. The vengeful ghost looked at the necklace in Lai Tu-min's hand, and the hand gripping his throat slowly loosened. Lai Tu-min seized the opportunity, continuously saying, "Chi Nu, I lied to you. I love your fried eggs the most. You're a great cook and the smartest person in the world. All those times I criticized you were just teasing." His tears flowed incessantly. The vengeful ghost seemed to be moved, her body trembling slightly, but then red, blood-like cracks suddenly appeared on her body. She looked at Lai Tu-min with deep worry, as if trying to say something. "Wipe the blood off the stone tablet. Push it down," the old Taoist shouted. Lai Tu-min immediately rushed over, wiped the blood clean with his sleeve, and then forcefully pushed the tablet. Crash! The tablet fell. At the same time, his sister's eyes became clear again. She looked at him with deep affection, then slowly faded away. Lai Tu-min didn't even have time to hug her one last time. Chapter 6. Lost in the fog. They chased all the way to the riverbank, finally stopping before a dense grove of old Sephora trees. The old Taoist held his green bronze sword, slowly counting each tree. 7 trees. 7 Sephora trees form the triangular soul-binding and resentment-locking formation. He took a deep breath, his face darkening. This village is truly despicable. Each trick is more vicious than the last. Just to conceal their crimes, they are willing to use these wronged souls to seal everything, preventing them from going to the underworld to accuse the king of hell. He shook his head and sighed, then pulled out 2 yellow talismans from his clothes, bit his fingertip, and quickly drew charms. "Take these. There's definitely more than just your sister's soul inside." He stuffed the talismans into Lai Tu-min's clothes and then strode towards the Sephora grove. "Stop!" A sharp voice came from behind them. They turned around. It was Tuda. She was still on village head Wang's side. Back at the ancestral hall, Lai Tu-min had not harmed her, considering it an act of leniency. Yet now she dared to stop him. Lai Tu-min glared coldly at her. His eyes filled with murderous intent. But this time, she no longer had her fragile, pitiful demeanor. Her tone was steady, each word clear. "This is the most evil area of Ghost Village. Village head Wang has always strictly forbidden anyone from approaching here. People have entered here and died from being possessed by ghosts. Most importantly, your sister isn't here." These words shocked Lai Tu-min. He had been determined, but hearing this, he couldn't help but waver. If his sister wasn't here, should he still risk going in? He clenched his fist, gritting his teeth and asking, "Then where is my sister?" Tutu looked up, pointing in the opposite direction. "They captured your sister to suppress these wronged souls. She and they are naturally at odds, so how could she be here? According to the usual methods of the Sanskrit Sutra sect, she must be trapped under that willow grove over there." Lai Tu-min looked at the old Taoist. He said nothing, but his eyes showed clear uncertainty. "Time is running out," the old Taoist said, frowning in urgency. "There are 3 hours until dawn. These lesser ghosts are very difficult to deal with. If we go the wrong way, your sister will." He stared intently at the Chen Kuan compass, his brow furrowed with worry. Lai Tu-min took a deep breath, closed his eyes and tried to sense his sister's aura. But there was nothing, not a single trace. Just then, a dense white mist suddenly rose from the river. The old Taoist and Tutu simultaneously shouted, "No good! Ghost fog!" The white mist grew thicker and thicker. Amidst the swirling fog, the sobbing of women and the wailing of infants grew increasingly distinct. The three of them clung to each other, slowly retreating. But the fog had covered the entire ground. No matter which way they went, they couldn't escape. Eerie sounds echoed everywhere. Dim white shadows continuously flitted past their eyes. Suddenly, a small light appeared in the mist. The light slowly floated and then flew directly towards them, flickering as if guiding the way. The old Taoist and Lai Tu-min didn't hesitate, intending to follow the light. "That's a ghost lamp. Don't trust it." Tutu suddenly grabbed them tightly. Lai Tu-min pulled her hand away, saying coldly, "I have no other choice. I can only gamble this time." The old Taoist also didn't hesitate, following the light. They walked after the light in the dense fog. The further they went, the softer the mud beneath their feet became. When Lai Tu-min realized they had reached the muddy riverbank, with a riverbed directly ahead, he immediately held the old Taoist firmly, uneasily stopping. At the same time, the light suddenly disappeared. A bone-chilling cold began to spread from their feet upwards. The white shadows around them grew more numerous. Lai Tu-min suddenly felt terrified. Did we make the wrong bet? Chapter 7. The Final Revelation. Just as they stood there stunned, the fog suddenly dispersed. Lai Tu-min and the old Taoist were stuck in the mud, having to bend down to pull their feet out. But when Lai Tu-min reached into the mud, he touched something hard. It didn't feel like a stone or a branch. He froze, using his hands to dig out the object beneath. As he cleared the mud, a strange shape was revealed. It was a human bone. Human bone! Lai Tu-min looked up in horror. He saw that the old Taoist had also just pulled another bone fragment from the mud. They stood face to face, eyes wide with shock. The old Taoist stared at the bones emerging from the mud, furiously yelling, "These beasts! How many people have they killed? No wonder the resentment here is so heavy." At that very moment, a sobbing sound came from behind Lai Tu-min. He jumped and turned around. It was his sister. She trembled slightly, pressing close behind him, sobbing uncontrollably. The old Taoist quickly stopped what he was doing and swiftly drew a formation on the ground. Lai Tu-min gripped his sister's hand, trying to comfort her. "It's done. The soul summoning formation has been set up." The old Taoist stood in the center of the formation, both hands raising the soul summoning banner, his eyes gleaming. "Hurry. We must perform the salvation rites for your sister. Send her to the underworld." But just as Lai Tu-min was about to guide his sister into the formation, Tutu suddenly lunged forward, shouting loudly, "No! This is a soul-trapping formation. If your sister steps into it, she will make a devil's pact with him. From now on, she will be controlled by him." As soon as the words left her mouth, Lai Tu-min's sister recoiled in fright, trembling all over. She clutched his shirt, continuously making sobbing sounds. "You brat! You're a heretic! How many times have you falsely accused me? Are you also in cahoots with these beasts in the village?" The old Taoist pointed at Tutu, roaring furiously. But Tutu was not to be outdone. She glared back immediately. "You are the real heretic. Don't think I don't know what you're up to. You want to use Officer Lai's sister's pure constitution to refine her into a ghost puppet, to be your servant, is that it? You deceived both siblings just to serve your own agenda." The two argued fiercely, neither willing to yield. Lai Tu-min, holding his sister tightly, didn't know whom to believe. It was almost dawn, and his sister was becoming increasingly ethereal, her eyes starting to fade. The old Taoist urgently roared, "We can't delay any longer. If it's dawn, your sister will be completely controlled by vengeful spirits, becoming a vengeful ghost that suppresses wronged souls. At that point, no one can save her. With that, he quickly pulled out the vial of Lai Tu-min's blood he had taken earlier, splashing it onto the center of the formation. He murmured incantations, his eyes growing increasingly sinister. No! Tutu lunged forward, delivering a powerful kick to the old Taoist's stomach, sending him sprawling to the ground. She gritted her teeth and yelled, "I will absolutely not let you achieve your goal." Then she quickly turned to Lai Tu-min, screaming, "Officer Lai, quickly subdue him. Do you want your sister to become his ghost puppet?" Lai Tu-min didn't answer, but his sister did. She trembled, recoiling, sobbing as if she was extremely afraid. A thought suddenly flashed through Lai Tu-min's mind. He tightly gripped his sister's hand and whispered, "Was it her who harmed you?" His sister suddenly shivered violently, then nodded frantically, 2 lines of bloody tears streaming down her cheeks. Lai Tu-min suddenly understood. It wasn't the old Taoist. It was Tutu who was behind everything. Without hesitation, he immediately drew his gun and shot directly at Tutu's leg. Bang! Blood splattered, spattering onto the old Taoist. Both were stunned for a long moment. A moment later, Tutu collapsed, clutching her leg, moaning in pain. The old Taoist laughed loudly with delight. "Excellent, this kid is decisive." He gave Tutu a hard kick, sending her flying out of the formation, then turned back to urge Lai Tu-min. "Quickly bring your sister in here. It's almost dawn, we must finish quickly." Lai Tu-min's sister trembled slightly, turning to look at him, her eyes full of hesitation. Lai Tu-min took a deep breath, gently nodding to her. She trusted him. Under that trusting gaze, Lai Tu-min gripped her hand tightly, and together they stepped into the formation. He looked seriously at the old Taoist, sincerely saying, "Master, I hope you will truly help my sister achieve salvation so she can reincarnate." But at that very moment, Lai Tu-min saw a flicker of guilt in the old Taoist's eyes. It was only for an instant before he quickly concealed it. He gave a cold, faint smile and said, "Don't worry, I promised you, and I will deliver." Then he drew a knife and cut a line on his own hand. The blood dripped onto the ground, forming a closed circle around Lai Tu-min's sister. Lai Tu-min's heart suddenly went cold. This isn't a salvation rite. It's a ghost-trapping formation. He lunged in horror, intending to pull his sister out, but boom! A force pushed him back. The old Taoist laughed wildly, frantically raising his hand and continuously smearing Lai Tu-min's blood on himself. "You fool! Your sister has a rare pure Yin constitution. Such excellent potential cannot be wasted. Today, I will refine her into a ghost puppet. Then she will be invincible and become my most powerful weapon." Lai Tu-min stared at him, saying nothing, only slowly sitting down, a cold smile playing on his lips. "No. Well, how can it be useless? Well, my formation is not wrong." The old Taoist shrieked frantically, running around the formation, staring at Lai Tu-min's sister. But 15 minutes passed, and the formation was completely ineffective. Lai Tu-min slowly stood up, calmly brushing the dust off himself. At the same time, the gun in his hand was aimed directly at the old Taoist's legs. The old Taoist stared at him, stunned, finally realizing, "It's you. It's your blood." Bang! Without hesitation, Lai Tu-min pulled the trigger. One shot in the left leg, one in the right. The old Taoist collapsed, his face contorted in pain. He doubled over, kneeling directly in front of Lai Tu-min's sister. Lai Tu-min looked coldly at him, slowly saying, "It was black dog blood that I prepared beforehand. Kin. You had some tricks up your sleeve, so I pretended to be foolish and followed you here. After all, I still have to thank you for helping me find my sister." With that, I stepped over him and went to my sister, gently helping her up. I carefully held her, whispering words of comfort. From childhood, my sister had always been afraid of pain, yet they wouldn't spare her even after death, still wanting to harm her. The old Taoist gritted his teeth, struggling to crawl up, snarling, "Don't celebrate too soon. It's almost dawn. No matter what, your sister cannot achieve salvation. She'll forever be a vengeful ghost, unable to enter reincarnation. It's better if I refine her into a ghost puppet. That way, she'll be neither living nor dead, and you can see her anytime." I kicked him squarely in the chest, sending him sprawling to the ground. "My sister has been well behaved since she was little. She's never harmed anyone. If she became a ghost puppet, she wouldn't be herself anymore. Just a weapon controlled by dark magic. She would never want that." The sun began to peek over the horizon, and the crowing of roosters echoed through the village. My sister's spirit gradually grew faint, her body beginning to fall into a comatose state. I frantically looked at my watch. The old Taoist grew increasingly insane, laughing loudly and cursing me for being a fool who wasted heaven-sent resources. But just then, the wail of police sirens suddenly pierced the air. I looked up and saw a police squad had arrived. The old Taoist stiffened, his face instantly paling. He clearly showed panic, none of his previous arrogance remaining. Old Lai, supporting his colleague Tu Trong, threw a black umbrella towards me from afar. I jumped and caught it. Then, I immediately opened the umbrella, carefully collecting my sister's spirit within it. This is the Yin-Yang umbrella. It can guide souls to the underworld and prevent them from dissipating. The old Taoist stared wide-eyed at the umbrella, frantically crying out, "The Yin-Yang umbrella? How do you have such a treasure?" I coldly glanced at him, then pulled out my police ID from my pocket. Zhangzhou City Police Department, Supernatural Investigations Unit, Police Officer Lai Tu-min. A year ago, our team investigated a murder case involving supernatural phenomena. That's when I learned that within the police system, there's a specialized unit for such cases. Later, because of my excellent performance in that case, I was directly invited by the head of the Supernatural Investigations Unit to join. At that time, the news of my search for my sister had spread throughout the police department. The unit chief used this to persuade me, saying that if I joined the Supernatural Unit, I would have more opportunities to find my sister's whereabouts. I didn't hesitate to agree. Unfortunately, no matter how capable the team was, we still couldn't find my sister's soul. The reason was that the Sanskrit Sutra sex formation had completely concealed her aura. It wasn't until 3 days ago, when the old Taoist actively sought me out, that I saw a glimmer of hope again. Immediately after meeting the old Taoist, I reported everything to my colleagues. They all returned from different areas to support me. As an officer in the Supernatural Unit, even though I hadn't been with the team for long, I had quite a bit of exposure to yin-yang magic. The moment I saw the blood bead that Tutu wore, I recognized it as dark magic of the Sanskrit Sutra sect. Furthermore, that blood bead most likely was made from my sister's own blood. Otherwise, why would my sister be so afraid of her? I had always suppressed the hatred in my heart, just to watch the old Taoist and to tear each other apart. Initially, the old Taoist truly intended to help me summon my sister's soul. But a soul-calling ritual never requires the blood of a loved one. The moment he demanded my blood, I knew he was no good. Fortunately, the Supernatural Unit police always keep a few tubes of black dog blood ready for missions. Taking advantage of the old Taoist's carelessness, I secretly swapped my blood for the black dog blood. Because my acting was so convincing, the old Taoist didn't suspect anything. Finally, when setting up the formation, he used it without any precautions. As a result, the formation failed and backfired on him. I recounted the entire incident. The old Taoist gasped, spitting out a mouthful of blood. He quickly checked his pulse on his wrist, his face immediately turning pale, terrified to the point of trembling all over. "I must kill you. I've cultivated for 60 years, only for you to destroy it in one night." He dragged his crippled legs, desperately crawling towards me, but immediately, clink! Tu Trong twisted his arm, handcuffed his wrists, and took him to the station. He was dragged away to the police car, Chu Trong gently patted my shoulder, then looked at the Inyong umbrella I was clutching tightly, saying in a deep voice, "Master Mi Not is on his way. Don't worry." I nodded, then slowly walked towards Tutu. I stepped hard on her chin, gritting my teeth and asking, "Why? Why did you harm Chi Nu?" But her eyes were terrifyingly calm, without fear or panic, only a cold, indifferent voice. The Taoist values karma. Even the Sanskrit Sutra sect cannot escape this rule. My grandfather once owed village head Wong a favor. 3 years ago, strange events occurred in this village, and many people died. The village head, terrified, sought out my grandfather, wanting to suppress the wronged souls by the river. It required a woman with a pure fate to use her blood to complete the formation, transforming her into a vengeful ghost. At that time I had just entered university and knew a little about numerology. Many people came to me for fortune-telling about love and studies. That's why I knew Lai Chi Nu's birth details. During that summer holiday, I lured her to this village to teach, and then village head Wang and his people kidnapped her. I'm sorry, but I couldn't betray my family. Tears rolled down her cheeks one by one, but her eyes remained cold and unwavering. I trembled with rage. I pulled out my gun and aimed it directly at her forehead. Karma, repaying favors, loyalty to family. But what about my sister? She was only 19 then. The sins of this village, they should pay for themselves. Why drag my sister down to hell with you? I roared, tears streaming down my face. You're a police officer. Chu Trong roared, pulling me away from Tutu. The captain also spun around and kicked, knocking the gun out of my hand. The law will handle what they've done. You can't lose yourself. But just thinking of my sister being bled to death, my heart felt like it would explode. I clutched the Inyong umbrella, sitting dazed by the river for a long time. This umbrella had always been cold, but now it radiated warmth into my heart. I knew it was my sister comforting me. But then the sun rose, and I had lost her forever. After seeing my sister off, I returned to the riverbank in a daze. My colleagues had excavated over 10 adult skeletons from the muddy riverbank. After preliminary examination, all were women who had given birth. In addition, there were many infant corpses. Master Mi Not ordered the felling of the 7 Sephora trees and, at the same time, led his disciples to surround the riverbank, chanting sutras for salvation for a day and a night. He said that these women and children had suffered in life and were bound by resentment in death, clinging to this place for many years. From now on, the living in this village will face disaster, and the dead will bear the consequences. The village head and villagers immediately turned pale upon hearing this. But as soon as they heard that if they sincerely repented, told the whole truth, and received forgiveness, their karma could be lightened, they flocked to confess. In their confessions, we discovered a horrifying truth. Ghost Village was originally called Nok Ka Village, nestled deep in the Nok Sun Mountain Valley. It was a poor, remote village, so no women were willing to marry into it. But the villagers wanted heirs. So what to do without wives? From the time of the old village head, the villagers pooled money to buy women from traffickers. Note, they didn't buy wives, they bought women. Buying a wife was to marry her and bring her home as a daughter-in-law, but buying women was for the whole village to use. Typically, they would buy about 10 women, and every 5 men would share 1 woman. The order was decided based on how much money each family contributed. A woman who gave birth for one family would be moved to another, rotating until each family had a son or she died along the way. These villagers were already short on women, but they despised female infants even more. They believed that daughters would only marry into other families, and raising them was just a waste of money. Therefore, whenever a woman gave birth to a daughter, the child would be drowned immediately. Year after year, these bodies accumulated under the river. By this generation, they no longer wanted to share women. They wanted real wives, they wanted their children to have mothers. But they continued to buy wives from traffickers, and they continued to treat women as slaves, beating them without hesitation. No woman was willing to marry into Nok Ka Village. If they wanted a wife, they could only buy one. The villagers all sighed regretfully when saying these words, but they never thought why women wouldn't marry here. Their reputation for drowning daughters and abusing women had spread throughout the region. What family with a daughter would be willing to marry her into such a place to suffer? We cross-referenced missing persons records with Nok Ka village's registry and finally found the true identities of the victimized women. Some were sold to Nok Ka village when they were only 16. Some were killed in their early 20s. That should have been the most beautiful age of their lives, yet they were buried under the riverbank mud, their souls trapped in the formation for many years. Based on the testimonies of Tutu and village head Wang, we tracked down the evil sorcerer who had set up the formation that year, Tafin Lao. He was over 80 years old when we found him, bedridden and kept alive by machines. The housekeeper constantly complained to us, "Officers, can you help me find his relatives? I really don't want to do this job anymore." I don't know what this old man provoked, but he stays awake all night, staring at the ceiling in fear, sometimes struggling and screaming as if someone is hitting him. His 2 sons abandoned him as soon as they brought me here to work, only sending my salary each month. I want to quit, but they don't care. It's truly terrifying. Officers, please talk to his family. I looked at the skeletal old man in the hospital bed, his eyes hollow. Suddenly, I wished he would live for a few more years so that the departed wronged souls could continue to torment him a little longer. In his study, I found the records of the formation from that year. My sister, as soon as she was captured and brought to Nok Ka village, had her limbs cut, and her arteries severed, her blood drained for a full day and night. I dared not imagine how much pain and despair she must have felt then. After draining all her blood, they hung my sister's body in the ancestral hall to dry for 7 days. After that, they locked her corpse into the stone tablet used to control her soul. That tablet was the one in the ancestral hall that I had kicked down. When I read this part of the record, I only wanted to rush to the detention center and kill each one of them, making them go to hell to repent before my sister. Finally, I returned to Nok Ka village and found the hiding place of my sister's body inside the stone tablet. Her shriveled body was curled up, covered in dried bloodstains. Her eyes were still wide open in terror. I gently brushed her eyes, and only then did they slowly close. I brought her back to the memorial grave I had set up earlier. Around the grave, I planted a circle of flowers that bloom all 4 seasons. My sister loved growing flowers. No matter how hard our lives were back then, she always took good care of the potted flowers on the balcony. The last time I saw her was in a dream that night. I dreamed of my sister. She stood in a chrysanthemum garden, smiling brightly at me, just like 3 years ago before all this happened. She was originally a good girl, but she ended up encountering evil. From then on, I continued my path as a police officer, catching criminals and exorcising demons with my colleagues. All I tried to do was to make this world a little better, so that girls like my sister could receive a little more kindness.